Well, hello out there. It is Sunday, May 31st, and you're with Mike Kahn, T4 Survival. I am flying solo tonight. Scott and Jamie are both have other engagements, so we're going to get into some topics. I got a couple guests. I know one for sure I'm going to be bringing on, and maybe a second. I'd like to start off the evening and talk about the camp. I just get that out of the way. Oh, here we go. Somebody's popping on.
You hear me?
Yep, there you are. So we got here my father, Dr. Jeffrey Kahn. I'm going to bring you in the topic footwear in a moment here, but I'm just going over the course topics for camp. So the first week we're going to be doing the Birches in Rockwood, Maine, like we do a regular basis. The first topic is going to be training for surviving edge weapon attack, sniper machete. So we work that into our firearms training and our hand-to-hand defensive training and combatives. And then part of that is, I think we're going to do some more. Again, we're going to do some light medical. Right now, we're talking to somebody about bringing in a suturing training. So we mix it up. Very exciting. That first week, again, like I keep liking to talk about, we're going to be bringing in a little bit of rifle training, which is something I can't wait to do. And then the second week, we'll be doing training for surviving a home invasion. And we've done some of that in our Krav classes where, defeat zip ties, duct tape, and work in the combatives, work with weapons. And again, we're going to build up from the first week into the second week. Here we go. We have our third guest tonight. It's going to be the Kahn show. My father and my brother are joining us.
Going on, guys.
Good morning. I'm just talking about camp. The dates for the first camp in that same spot, and our range facility is a private range facility around the corner. So that's for camp. We'll move on here. So, we talk about a lot of gear. We talk about. Oh, he's back.
Not bad.
There you go.
Hit the wrong button.
That's all right. We talk about a lot of gear. And we talk about, and we train with weapons. You train firearms. People talk about the best gun for them, or the best this and that, or go bags. We discuss those quite a bit. I was sitting around thinking that we don't discuss a lot, or it might be your main mode of transportation. Your shoes, your boots. What are you going to use? And what made me think of this topic was that I know somebody that stages equipment. They stage a go bag. They have a pair of cargo pants and set aside, and they got a pair of boots right by the bag in case they have to get out of the area or some emergency happening. And I was thinking, I bring in an expert on foot care, how to select the right kind of shoes, the right kind of attire in regards to when you have to get out and you can't drive and you got to hike it. What are you looking for? How do I select? So I'm bringing my father in. He's a podiatrist. Dad, how long have you been doing podiatry now?
41 years.
Oh boy. So you might know a couple of things then, I guess, right?
I would hope so.
So what is so I'm looking to get a new pair of boots, or I'm trying to select a pair of boots I'm going to use just in case, or what's the first thing I'm going to worry about or should consider when I'm going to go looking for something like that?
Well, probably the very first thing you want to consider is the fit. So you always want to buy shoes or boots later in the day, late afternoon or early evening. We all tend to hold fluid, so shoe sizing can be different morning versus afternoon. So you're definitely going later in the day, and you obviously want to be comfortable right from the get-go. And as we all know that have boots are not the most comfortable thing to break in. So you definitely want to look at getting whatever you feel comfortable in, number one, but you also want to break them in. It would be a terrible mistake to really get a pair of boots that you need to go and hike in the woods and then to escape an area that are not broken in, because then you're going to have foot problems on top of it. Then you want to look at is several things. One just makes sense. What's the terrain you're at? I mean, if you're down the shore and you're going to be in sandy soil, or you're going to be in the woods, backwoods, different protection. Obviously, a more stable boot in the backwoods, for protection is a greater idea. So do you want something that's going to breathe more? You want something that's going to give you waterproof protection? Those are all things that you have to look at based on your terrain or where your bug out area is going to be.
I never considered sizing a boot or trying a shoe or boot on at the end of the day. It never even occurred to me to think like that.
Yeah, it becomes even more important as we get older. We all tend to hold fluid because of gravity, and as you get to be older, you experience it more and more. So you may find a boot that fits great 9 o'clock in the morning when you're at one of the big stores, and you go put it on at 7 o'clock at night and can't get your foot into it, and it's just and you're stuck with it. That's what you've got, and you got to rely on it. Now we got to deal with blisters and then breakdowns and then discomfort, and you don't need that when you're trying to go into a survival mode.
Socks, I always thought, a good pair of wool socks. You suggest anything different?
A lot of people will often do 2 pairs, one more of a polypropylene or polyethylene, and a pair of wool or cotton over that is often not a bad idea for irritation. The other thing people could even think about, you might even want to put in your go bag. It's going to sound very bizarre to some people, but if you're going to, all of a sudden you're doing a lot of hiking, doing a lot of walking that you're not used to doing, you're prone to irritation and you're prone to blisters. There's a product that runners and hikers often use called Spenco Second Skin, and you get it in most drugstores or athletic stores. You throw it in your go bag. I mean, if you really get into trouble with a bad blister or a skin breakdown, it can be painful. You want to be able to prevent infection, but if you put a small piece of that on top and cover the area with a little tape, you're back in business. So it can save you a lot of aggravation, a lot of discomfort, and prevent infection. It's a simple thing, and they make different ones. One's for scars, one's for blisters. It's all the same stuff.
So I got a quick question. So you mentioned the shoe size, right? So
Yep.
If someone's actually buying boots or shoes or whatever for a specific application for their bug out bag or go bag, do you recommend getting the next size up, or do you recommend them sticking to that size and trying it and see if there's room in it?
Well, the first thing I would do is figure out if you're going to wear 1 or 2 pairs of socks, you should be trying on with the socks you're going to be wearing. What socks are you going to wear? You're going to put a big bulky pair of hiking socks in your go bag that you're going to use as your primary sock, or you're going to be wearing a thinner sock. You certainly want to put that on when you're trying the shoes because it can affect the size. So you want to pretty much go with a size that's comfortable. So if you wear a 10 and a half, you put a 10 and a half on, it's fairly comfortable late in the day, you're probably fine. I certainly wouldn't get too big because if you have a shoe that's too big, start slopping around, you will cause blisters.
Okay.
Now, should you consider, could you get away? Is there like a standard boot you would suggest to, you should consider your climate again, like not just the backwoods versus the beach. I'm not going to wear the same boot in Arizona necessarily what I'm going to wear in Maine or Connecticut. Exactly. So you really need to consider, just because it's a cool boot doesn't mean it's going to work. Like I enjoy wearing the lightweight, maybe the desert boots. I just like them, but they're not for the winter. I got to wear little socks.
It also was going to depend, unfortunately, when are you bugging out? If you're bugging out in December, it certainly could be you want something that's got some insulation in it versus if you're going to be bugging out potentially in the middle of the summer.
Worst case scenario, I could wear my winter boots, my heavier weight boots any time of the year, and the vice versa is not always the case.
Correct. So those are just they're simple things to take into consideration, and doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're out there hiking and surviving in the woods, for days and doing a lot of walking you're not used to doing, if you've got something that does not fit you, you're gonna be miserable.
To the point where you could be incapacitated, right? It could get that.
You could get a breakdown, get an infection, and you could be in jeopardy of surviving.
Now, so in addition to the right fit in the boots, you should consider, while you're breaking them in, not necessarily having to carry your go bag, a bag with the similar weight to see how that feels while you're hiking over a period of distance, or
Sure. Well, it makes sense. Just for your training anyway, that makes sense. Just in general, most people don't do that.
No, well, most people don't try hiking a mile with the weight of their go bag and see if they can do it.
It's true. I purchased a go bag a few years back, and let me tell you, I had to buy another bag so I could make it more into a backpack because there's no way I'm carrying that bag with 2 handles on it for any distance anyway. So you got to be smart about what you're doing and what do you really need. And are you looking at being hibernating and then hiding for 3 days, or are you taking supplies to survive for 2 months? So it's very different than what we're doing. And I think a lot of times, unless you have major upheaval, you're probably looking at a shorter span, but you still want to have enough to get by. And we can talk about some of those rations and whatnot if you want as we go on.
Absolutely.
But, you start with your boots, you start with your socks, you start with your basic gear, but you also probably need to have some rations. You need to have some basic things in that go bag. You need a kitchen sink, probably not, but you need your basics.
So with not to get too far away from the boots here. Now I know a lot of people like these inserts, like the gel inserts or Dr. Scholl's or whatever the company whatever the brand.
Yep.
Would you suggest maybe having some of those handy just in case, or preloading your boots with them?
Yeah, I mean, there are things better than like some of the standard stuff like Dr. Scholl's. There's some good brands, good over the counters like Power Steps, Super Feet. There's a bunch of different ones. New Balance has some that are pretty decent. And if you need support, which you often do, it would be better to break the boots in, have some extra support if needed, so you're ready to leave them in the shoes, leave them in your boots.
Now, some of these materials, or the gel or the whatever they're made of, do they break down over time even when you're not using them? Because I know, working construction jobs, standing on the side of the road waving. Years ago, I would get the inserts, Dr. Scholl's. Eventually, they would just wear out.
Yep.
And of course, that's from use, and I'm not very light, so I'm sure they break down quicker. But if you're not using them, would those materials break down over time? Should you consider that as part of your So if I'm going to go through my say I've got a light go bag just to go from my house to your house in case there's something bad going on, I need to relocate.
Yep.
Maybe the weather or a man-made disaster, whatever the case is. Should I consider? I check my go bag, change it a season or monthly maintenance or whatever the case is. Do I inspect those or maybe change them out after 6 months, regardless?
Most of the over-the-counter inserts are probably good for 6 months to a year. If you're wearing them all the time, probably 9 months. So if you've got a pair of boots that you're manually wearing for as part of your go apparatus, not that big a deal. They're going to hold up fairly well. I would avoid the gels and some of the nonsensical cushions. They don't hold up. Okay. And unfortunately, a lot of the name brands that you've been talking about, they're not the quality that they used to be. They've got the name, they've got the marketing. But as I say, like Power Steps will hold up, Super Feet hold up pretty well. And you can get those, in offices or shoe stores or online. And, they usually go by shoe size, and they're pretty decent. They'll hold up for quite a while.
Okay.
I've had Power Steps. They work fantastic.
Really? It's time to go check them out again.
Been using them for a couple of years, yeah.
So once you break in your boots or whatever you're going to wear, do you have any consideration? I know you suggest changing out your sneakers or your everyday wear. How often should you really change out your shoes? If they say I take care of my stuff and it looks brand new all the time, it still wears out and wears down, correct?
Well, if you're only using it for your go bag, it's going to probably last a couple of years with no problem. If you wear
you keep it inside away from the elements, right? You don't want to store it in your garage where it gets hot and cold and it's going to wear out the rubbers and
probably not. But if you're wearing them all the time and with regularity, if you're one of those guys that wears the boots like day in and day out, you probably need to replace them in 6 to 9 months.
So I'm not going to tell you how long it's been since I bought a new pair of boots. I'll hold off on that.
I've seen your boots. You should have replaced them 3 years ago.
They look fine. They're not that bad.
They go on.
Just some duct tape on them.
Yeah, right. When I have to put duct tape on them or start gluing them, I'll get rid of them.
I've seen that before, believe it or not.
No, I've glued shoes back together. Just being lazy. So, David, I wanted to bring you on, because usually we got 3 of us here, and I figured we can talk about some holsters and what kind of stuff you've been doing, and different types of, how you hook it to your belt, different types of belts. What are you working with? What's going on? Anything new? And because a couple of my holsters I have from you, I got the Utility-Clip, and once I clip that thing on my belt, it's not going anywhere. I have to literally take the belt off and then get a pair of pliers if I'm not careful.
They get pretty tight. That's for sure.
I love it. You pull that gun out of the holster. Holster's not going with you. And then you've got some other clips, some quick fastener, easy on and off stuff.
Yeah. So you're talking about the Ulti clips. I happen to have one right here. So I'll just kind of show that. So basically what this does is works with, you slide your pants in between here, and it basically is a clamp. So you press on that and it's not coming off. So it's definitely a great tool for someone who doesn't always wear belts. So you can wear it with jeans without belts, females, yoga pants, jogging shorts, workout clothes, anything like that. But yeah, it's definitely a great clip. It's definitely a good option. We have a lot of.
I like to wear my gym shorts and put my Glock 43 in. So that would be better for what I'm trying to use, because the clip I have on here is not designed. It's designed for a belt, not these athletic waistbands, is what you're showing me.
Right. You don't necessarily have to have this type, this clamp style, which some do find a little difficult because it is tight. We're starting to carry these clips now. They're by Discreet Carry Concepts. They're actually a local company here in Connecticut. And you don't need a belt, but it does work really well with a belt. But you see a little hook down there that'll grab and snag on your pants.
Yeah, I like that.
So you don't. Yeah. So it can be worn with that. What's that?
What's the print?
This is just this is a print we did. We adhered it right to the Kydex. Not for everybody, but it's just something that we do, which is pretty cool.
So I could send you an image and say, I want my face on my holster. Not that anybody.
We could print it. This is actual fabric that we got from the fabric store. We adhered it, so it's not coming off. I mean, it'll fray off a little bit, but we've got some pretty good method right now that we've been testing out, and it works fantastic. And it really glues the fabric to the Kydex, so it's just another feature thing we offer. We can do prints too. I think one of the things, that when you had asked me to come on, I thought about was, with these bug out bags and these go bags, a lot of people, they're maybe into inside the waistband carrying. And if you're going to be out in the woods and you're, moving around, crouching down, you might want to think maybe this isn't the right avenue to go down. Maybe you need to look into something like an outside the waistband, something that's universal that you could attach to your body, or you could attach to your chest rig or your bug out bag. We've done a couple of
years ago. I had you do that custom chest rig for me. It's a 3-point harness. The thing's awesome. I mean, that's the way. If I'm in a vehicle or I want to keep everything high off my waist, it's perfect. Everything's right here.
And it's right in front, so you can protect it. It's there. It's always at your ready, so you're good to go.
I like it when I'm hiking. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so I'm out in the woods. It's awesome.
Very common.
Mike out there from the Midwest. How you doing, Mike? If anybody has any questions or wants to chime in, please post a comment. I get them on the bottom here, and we'll try and answer your question about any of these topics. We're talking about how do you select the right kind of shoes or boots when you have to bug out, or for your EDC. So you wear the same type of material every day. Some days I'm lazy, like I go to the pool and then I go to work, so I'm in slides. I don't want to have to fight somebody in slides, because the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to kick them off. There's no support in those slip-on flip-flops. You necessarily don't want to pick something that's going to hinder your ability to bug out if you have to. So we were talking about those earlier. And we're talking to David now with Kydex Holster Solutions, and we're just discussing different options you have and what other clips to use on your gear. So you build a holster that has the Molly clips, the utility clip.
Yeah.
Now, are you you've got the mid-ride holster, so a little drop to them?
Yep, we could do drops. We could do quick release, so you can, if you want to mount it on a lower or have it on your hip, if you want to mount it to your chest, we have all those options. Mollies have been very common, especially for the bug out bags, where depending on how you want to mount it, we can adjust the cant on it. So it's pretty much whatever you can imagine, we can do it. There's no limitation. Now,
something I was just talking to you about is replacing a lot of the pouches and stuff I carry on my vest at work to more Kydex. The nylon or I don't even know how to describe them, but the cloth pouches, there's no real structure to them sometimes, and they don't really for accessing the gear and everything else. So you can anything I come to you can create. Basically, I think that's.
I would say pretty much the bags are great for medic kits, which obviously is a really good thing you should have in your bug out bag. If you have like a range kit where you're doing the training with you guys, it's good to have a bag, especially with the medical kits. But we just started adding handcuffs, holsters, carriers, and we're doing 1.5-inch OC sprays. So but it's pretty much limitless. Whatever you can imagine. I know you mentioned too about the radios. We're probably going to start that up as well. So it's limitless. Whatever you can imagine you need, it's possible.
So I don't know. I'm sure, Dad, you could come up with something that David has had to build too, or maybe David. What's the craziest request you've gotten, David, for a holster?
I'd say it's probably two. I wouldn't say crazy, but unique. So we work a lot with TPA Milsom in North Branford.
Okay.
So Todd challenged me to build a holster for a shotgun. That was a non-lethal shotgun, which actually I have one right here. Let me grab it.
So he's talking about the T4E.
Yep. So T4E line. So, pretty good shotgun, shoots non-lethal, but I think it's, 58 millimeter balls or something like that.
60. I want to say it's a 60 something. I can't remember off the top of my head. 63 or 68.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's
the shotgun. It's just over 18 inches, by 18 and a half inches, and they wanted to mount it on a chest rig. So I mean, it was definitely a challenge.
They could fire pepper balls, paint markers, the whole 9 yards.
Paint markers, and
that was
rubber.
the company that does security, and they use those private security companies, correct?
They use them every day. Yeah, they're using them right now. Yep. Well, maybe not right now with all COVID, but
mounting that to the chest of the front of their chest rig for quick access. And again, you think of weapon retention. I have it at my core, and that's what I like when I hike. If I need to hold on to my gun, it's here, and you're stronger. When you're to your core of your body. If you have to fight over, on the side, you're not able to put as much energy into it.
Right. And the other one we had to do was we had somebody with I don't remember how long the barrel was, but it was a very large revolver. It had to have been maybe 6 or 8 inches, maybe even a little bit longer. It had a big scope on the top, and it was some guy that lived on a farm.
You're going to mention that one is the craziest one you've done.
That's pretty close. I mean, that was a challenge. That was a big challenge for sure, because there's so many different parts you can't cover, and it has to be able to come out. You got to be able to take that out of the holster, relatively quickly, especially for anybody that needs to use it. But he's deploying it on not getting attacked by coyotes in his yard. So I would assume, protecting his livestock. So, but yeah, that was I think those were probably the two most challenging. But it's constant. It's like every other week there's something. There's a new configuration. There's a new light with a weapon light on it, and they're constantly rolling out new lights through these manufacturers. So it's just it's like laptop computers. I keep up with it. So
I know we're bouncing back and forth here, but I just had a thought of a question to ask you about foot care. Is there something people don't think about when it comes to their feet or foot care that can easily lay you up there, or something that's easily preventable?
Yep.
What would that be? Can you hear me?
I think
You're breaking up badly.
Oh, sorry.
Is there something about foot care that?
Yeah, is there something that people don't usually think about in relation to foot care or shoes or whatever that can easily lay them up or prevent or create a bigger issue that is wholly within our control?
I mean, things that you can think about. I mean, if you're going back to the bug out situation, obviously, if possible, you want to wash your feet and dry your feet. Some light foot powder would be certainly very good to use to reduce friction. But if you're sweating profusely and you're not washing your feet, you get a blister, you're getting an infection. So I mean, those are some things. If you're in a situation where you're in a prolonged period of time and you need to trim your nails, if you're able to do that, don't be digging too much. Just basically straight across, prevent irritation, because once again you could create an issue. If you get a bad blister, you got to be very wary of draining and pulling the skin off the blister. A lot of people make that mistake and end up with infections. So if it's really comfortable and you have to drain it, try to use an antiseptic. But you might want to take a little piece off the corner, or just to let the blister drain. Leave the skin on top. Don't take the skin off. Cover it with an antibiotic and a bandage of some sort when you're done, and you'll probably prevent serious infection. Even if you're out in the woods and you get a bad blister, if you've got a sewing needle or even a fish hook that's clean, and you can put some fire on it to really make sure it's sterile, you can make a little hole and actually just puncture a blister if it's bad enough, but don't take that skin off. That's the worst thing you could do. Those are some of the simplest things you could do. I mean, if you're tramping in the woods, trying to stay away from people, I mean, there's only so much you're going to do, but you also don't want to go down a bad path and get infections that will sideline you.
True. Now, in your bug out bag, would you advise having maybe an extra set of socks or 2 sets of socks just in case to switch out?
Yeah, it's usually recommended. Can I tell you that I do? I don't. I probably need to. But that brings me back to, okay, when we start talking about bug out bags, I don't know if you want to get into that. But
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think we'll move into
what
that.
do we really need to put into a bug out bag? And that's going to really be dependent on, it's going to be dependent on timing. You know, how long do we bug it out for?
Right.
That's a huge factor.
Yeah,
And
again,
certainly an extra pair of socks.
So it comes up, and you know what? It's funny how often that question comes up. What do I need in my bug out bag? What do you think I should have in my bug out bag? Really, it really depends on what you're building that bag for. You know, are you looking to get from my house to your house, which is several towns over, a couple towns away, or down the street because you got a gas leak, or there's something, or there's a crash on the highway, and there's hazardous materials. Now you have to leave. Are you know, how long will you have to be away? How fast do you have to get out of there? You know, if you're some stuff you're always going to want to have. You want a copy or your credentials on you, some type of identification, just to help yourself out. You know, in one of my bags, I keep I probably keep a couple $100 in 20s. You never know when you need cash. You know, if there's a power outage and you can't get to the ATM or the credit card system's down or whatever the case is, it's good to have cash.
Exactly. You're breaking up badly. Is he breaking up badly for you, David?
No, I'm good. I can hear it all.
Okay.
Maybe sign off and just join back on.
If I sign off, it's gonna.
No, not.
Oh, Dad.
No, not you. Yeah.
So other issues with the bug out bag. You know, if you put too much in it, like we talked earlier, I have a 3-day assault pack, and you know, as some of you guys know, I'm not little. I can carry. I'm like a pack mule. I can load that thing up and carry it. But if I max that out with ammunition and food or you know, other equipment, you know, I could be looking at a 80, 100-pound pack. That's not going to be fun hiking for any distance with 80, 100 pounds, especially when it's not something I do all the time. And I am definitely not as young as I used to be. So hiking with a good 80-pound pack on, you know, how quick am I going to respond? How fast am I going to move? You know, I'm just be happy to keep trucking along. But what's my goal? Why do I need an 80-pound pack? Not always the case. You know, like we talked, a smaller pack, I could get a home bag, maybe a pair of socks. You know, maybe a lightweight jacket in there, something for the elements. Something may happen where you need just to get home. A couple bucks, extra dollars in there, maybe a couple of energy bars. I don't know if you can think of anything else. Some supplemental medication, even throw some of your medication in there, just to have it on hand if you just need access to it. What do you think about like a short-term bag? What would you consider throwing in yours?
Short term, I think obviously medications make sense. You know, maybe change the socks, some type of provisions for food, probably a life straw or something for water filtration on a smaller size. Some basic elements, tarps for shelter. You know, and maybe some basic medical supplies. You know, other than medications, actual medical supplies to get you through. But I think you need a little bit of everything. But you don't need to go crazy. Obviously, you're going to take something for self-defense. You know, ammo, your favorite weapon.
You know, in
I'm going to relocate because you guys are chopping up a
okay.
lot. So I don't know if
All right, why don't you do that and come back in?
I'll be back.
Okay. You know, in something like that, even a bug out bag, you could think of just a. So I'm thinking, David, with a bag, you go hiking out in the woods. If you're not on a marked trail or close to, you know, you're just going out in nature and to enjoy yourself. Some of those things are good to have with you.
Sure.
You're far enough out there, you could become injured, you know, and you may not be able to quickly get the help or whatever the case is. You know, there's places I drive in the Northeast where cell service is not happening. In my truck, I've got a CB radio. But again, you know, hopefully somebody
that goes out.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't even hurt to have a compass. Throw a compass in there.
True. And it's funny because they're living with GPS now. I got an app on my phone telling me every turn I need to take. I even keep in my car, and sometimes when I go out in the woods or if I go for a hike or whatever it is, I've got a map. I just throw a map in there, like even if it's a trail map. When I'm driving, if it's I'm traveling to the Northeast, I'll throw in the states I'm going through, because a lot of times those smaller, more focused maps give you more detail.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. It wouldn't be bad for anybody in their own state to just carry a large map of their state, because if you're in the woods, you're not traveling by car. You're walking. So, I mean, that would be cheap, easy to get, probably free. Go to AAA, pick one up, and just have it. Throw it in there.
Let's see. Are you back?
There he is. He's back.
There you go. You're right next to the router now, huh?
I'm back. I'm by I'm by my router, so hopefully you guys won't be chopping up.
There you go.
In the dungeon.
So we were just talking about map, things that we don't think about to throw in your bag. I threw in there, and I've added over the years ago. I added paper maps. My phone dies.
Yep.
David mentioned a compass. You may not know where you're going. You may not know what you're at and how to navigate. And it's funny, over the years, just directing traffic at events and accidents or whatever, when we have a road closure for construction, I've had people tell me, I don't know how to get home. Well, I'm like, where do you live and how long, and just through conversation, people tell you, oh, I've lived in the same place 30 years. How do you not have more than one way to get home, or know of more than one way to get home? That's not good. You need to be able to know how to get out of that location a couple different ways, or get back home a few different ways. Back when we had that October storm, was it 2008 or 9? I was at work forever, and by the time I got to go home, my normal commute was 5 minutes. Because of all the trees that were down and all the damage that had been done, it took me an hour to get home, and I had to be creative. Eventually, I just drove through, hoping I'd make it under a down tree, and I got lucky. But if it wasn't for that, I would have been stuck with one way, not knowing what to do. I mean, I knew of 3 different ways. It took forever to make sure what was the lesser of all the evils.
That's right, because you can't count on your usual route. You never know. I think something to be able to start a fire, you can venture out in the woods, and you got to, for warmth if you need to, or if you, can come across some food that you have to heat or cook, catch a fish, so you need to be able to survive. We
were having a funny, pretty comical conversation earlier today, talking about, like starting a fire or what you need in your kit. It's great having the fire starting rods or all the materials. It's something I have added a long time ago, and I didn't realize this was how popular it was. I've got a couple of big lighters in my bag. When you don't have to work really hard, take the cheat. If you got a lighter there, start that fire, you might as well. When it fails, or if it just doesn't work, you've got the backup.
Exactly.
And years ago with my kids, in the middle of winter, we were having, they got a kick out of it. We went out with one of those fire starting, the rods of the stick, and we were making sparks. We're starting fires in the yard, just with what materials we could find, just so they see they could do it in the winter. It didn't have to be perfect conditions.
Yeah, you never get to predict what's going to happen when it happens. That's for sure.
No, we'll just look what's going on now.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough time out there. Got to be careful.
Right. And not to get too deep into it, but if you want to get out there, have your voice be heard. I support that. But you can tell, you get that feeling when things are going bad, and you need to get out of there. You trust that feeling and get out quick, because when things go bad, they go bad quickly. But again, that's a smaller scale bug out situation. Do you know where you are? Do you know where you're walking to? Do you know maybe a couple ways to get back to where you need to be? There's neighborhoods that when I first became an officer, that we would go to, and if you didn't know where you were going, you would drive in circles and be like, how do I get out of here? They're very confusing neighborhoods, but just you think of the size of a city. Now you're in a city and you don't know where you are, which way you're headed, how you get back to where you started from. So it's something you need to think about, and that's for everything. You need, there's a fire in a location you're at. You need to evacuate. Well, where are you? Where are you going? How do you get back to family? Where's your car? How do you got to come back together. So, but like those whole bug out situations we're talking about, with what do I need for a bag? What should I have? like my everyday carry. Usually, I carry a light sword. I carry a firearm. It's the way I am. I carry a knife of some type, and I'm not talking about this. I'm not carrying a Rambo knife. I'm carrying a little pocket utility knife, and I'm even smaller. I love those little jackknives. You know, the 2-bladed or 3-bladed knives where you can whittle. You can do whatever. They're perfect. They're not a weapon. You need a screwdriver. The thing's got a screwdriver. Those Swiss Army %. So, you know, for bug out wise, you have, you know, and I also carry a tourniquet. And so that medical, and kind of linking back into camp, you know, we were adding a suturing as for the first week as part of the edge weapon training. You know, it fits perfectly, right? And kind of, we're not going to be using edge weapons on each other because we have training weapons, but we're going to go into some light medical, you know, how do you apply steri strips? How do you suturing? And that's something people all are very interested in. You hope you never need something like that, but in a real emergency, again, you're out in the middle of the woods, you're hiking, or you're in a remote location because you want to be adventurous and you're stuck. You have to do something. You may be stuck. You may actually have to be creative. So having some type of knowledge.
You never need it. You never need it till you need it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. That is a skill you don't need it until it's too late, right? Let me see. I got some comments
Exactly.
here.
Yeah, it's just like it's better to have a gun on you and not ever need it than to need it and not have it.
Right, and even with that, it's something you need to train. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You both have been to camp. I know you're kind of, you know, you kind of got sucked up there and were encouraged to join. But you came out you've been to a couple of the camps, and like we've talked other times, you've never done anything like that. You know, and you couldn't even think of a place to go to do something like that, right? That's very different.
The biggest thing with the camps, I mean, I've been shooting for almost 40 years, you know, and, you know, shooting at targets is nice. Watching videos about carjacking and shooting at night, and it's all wonderful. And yeah, you get something out of it. But when you're immersed into it and you've got people yelling and screaming at you and distracting you, and you're actually more in a live situation, the training's invaluable. I mean, you do things up there that you can never do going to a range or going to just a basic situation. It's amazing. And you get immersed into it, and it just hones your skills. And I'm probably the oldest guy that's ever been at your camps, I think. For maybe
Pretty
Doc.
old. I think
Doc might. I don't know if Doc might have me.
I think you guys are pretty close. I don't think you're far off of each other.
And hell, if I can do it, then anybody can do it. And what I liked about the camps also, aside from all the variety of things you're doing, you guys do put stress on people intentionally, which makes you think and react differently, which is really fantastic. But you just experience a whole different world up there, you know. And you're shooting, you're getting comfortable, and you cater to people that have almost no skill, to people that are advanced because you keep building on it. So
Right.
people that don't have the training can, you know, really advance themselves tremendously, you know. But it is totally different than shooting at a paper like we were doing earlier today.
Yeah,
you know, it was good to do. It's fun to do, you know, but it's a totally different experience.
Yeah, and you know the best part too. Yeah, the best part I think is that everything that you learn, you could take that and use that in everyday life. It's just stuff that you could use. It's just making you ready for, God forbid, anything ever happened. Everything's applicable. So.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get us wrong. I love it. I have a blast doing it. I have a blast teaching. I have a blast shooting with you guys, everybody up there. We get to a point where, you know, we're mixing in to kind of raise up the intensity for you, and we change it up. We don't want it to be the same thing. We really fight hard to prevent doing the same thing every time. We got it. It's a challenge because there's certain things we just like to do, but we don't want it to be one of those, oh, we're doing that again. And you know how it is. You go to a class or you do some type of training, and you're like, oh, here we go, same old, same old. And because of the environment and because we keep building on it, we do everything we can to prevent that. And that's why we're at it, the suturing. You know, so I learned a little bit about it years ago. Of course, it's a perishable skill. It's something you learn. You don't become proficient at it, you know, but you can practice. There are ways to practice after you learn it and kind of get comfortable and try it out with a live subject or something. You know, you don't have to wait for the injury. So, you know,
you need the basics. You don't have to be a plastic surgeon, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
If you're in the field and you're away from medical and you have an injury, whether you get a laceration, take a fall, get a gash, it may require a couple stitches. May not be pleasant to do, but it could save your life.
And that's what part of what we do in camp is we work in the injury drills. So, and we do, and not everybody has to do it, but we use a PPQ to, you've been hit and you need to, and we don't yell left arm, right arm. We'll very carefully tag the person with the PPQ and the paint marker. So it's not, the rubber ball is a little more significant in response. They feel the pain. They have to engage. They have to turn. If they have to do a tourniquet, move the cover. So we want to mix it all in. So and we work it all together, and with the intensity, and we build it up. So we teach them how to use a tourniquet. You guys were there seeing some of it, and then we simulate the injury, and we teach them how to manipulate the weapon, how to get back on target without the ability to use that support hand or their strong hand. And that's not a lot you can do at a regular range either. You don't have the opportunity to, I gotta go down to my knee. I gotta get behind cover, and now I gotta do secure the weapon part way, or do a one-handed reload. Or that's just something you can't do. So again, I talk about camp a lot because I love it, and we even do some of that kind of training at our locations in Connecticut. And we don't necessarily need to have a live fire situation. We can use those training weapons like the PPQ or the T4E line of weapons. They're great. I know you guys have played with them, and I've had the fun of being the bad guy getting shot all the time.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun for you shooting me. I know.
Yes, but it is great training.
My favorite.
I give in and I respond to your instruction. You still shoot me. I'm like, that's not right, David. You can't keep doing that.
I can't help if the gun goes off.
I'll shoot back at even if he wins.
Guns go off by themselves, apparently. So yeah. I can't help it.
Oh, you're killing me.
Scott still doesn't walk.
What's that?
I say Scott still can't walk right.
Well, yeah. We're not going to talk about that here. Well, some of the people that watch regularly or have been with us in training, well, they know why. So, I not to get too far off topic, but I see Jeff's wearing his Northeastern laser engraving shirt, and yep. I was wondering, David, did you happen to have that item that we've been working on, my special project? Is it available to see?
It's in 2 pieces.
Can you put them in one piece and kind of give us a little glimpse?
Yeah, let me grab it. Hold on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, what Michael's talking about, we've gone into the realm of laser engraving guns and rifles with any specialty patterns that you can come up with. So we're getting more and more creative and personalizing weapons, and it's becoming really interesting. We do other things other than the weapons, but I think I'd say the weapons is probably our main influence. We've done some water bottles and some gift and mugs, but this is really cool.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm so excited. I got to get back to you. You got to let me have it back now, okay?
Yeah, I just want everybody to know I did check it. This item is clear, okay? So there's nothing in it. And how people get on the internet.
I know they get a little. It's okay though. So So let me tell you what this gun is, or why it's such a. I'm so excited about it. A lot of you may know I'm prior military. I was in the Navy and the submarine force before I became a police officer. And when I became a police officer, things are weird in different places, but we had to buy our own firearm. It wasn't supplied by the agency. And this is a Glock 22 40 caliber handgun. And this is my first department gun. This is what I carried when I first got on the job. I carried it for probably a good, I want to say at least a decade, and then the department provided guns. This gun had every bit of wear and tear you can imagine on it, from rubbing in the holster, from the seatbelt, in and out of the car. So we had it Cerakoted.
And it showed. That's for sure.
Oh, I know the gun was used. It wasn't a showpiece. It didn't sit in the safe. It was carried every day, and I cleaned it, but I wasn't very kind to it. But it's cool. Yeah, and your version, I didn't clean it before I gave it to you last time, so I leave it there. But we sent it out. And we had it Cerakoted, so we had the top blue, and I wanted the lower gray, and I wanted a nautical type theme for it. So, but I didn't want your typical your stuff you could think of. I wanted like something kind of like waves or whatever, and then I wanted like sea monster theme. You know, like the Kraken reaching up with its tentacles to grab whatever's above the surface. And I gave that idea to David, and he created you came up with the pattern for the waves, right? You made that.
Yeah.
So he made the pattern for the waves, and then we worked together picking out the design for the top, and it is awesome. I'm so excited. Part of me wants to carry it again, but I don't want to. I want to keep it locked up in my safe because it looks so cool.
Carry it. Give it some more love. Yeah, I mean the cool part about the frame modification is it's fully functional, so you get full grip out of it. So it's not just for looks. It's deep enough that you get a nice, good, good purchase on this thing, and it's on real good. I mean, it's tight. It feels good. You get good grip, and it's not sliding off. But yeah, it came out great. I mean, the color combo was really spot on, and this is what you wanted
about and alluding to.
Yeah. So it'll be back together. We'll get some pictures up on the website, I would say the next couple of days, and then off to our next project.
I can maybe have it back this week.
Sure.
Now, there's something
Just
to note.
pay your bill.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay you for holding it. You rented it forever.
Yeah.
It really hasn't been that long, but so everybody knows, David's an FFL, so when you can send him firearms and transfer, he can take them in and
Absolutely.
work on them. So it's done properly. It's not fly by the seat of your pants.
No, it's we can buy, sell, take things in for repair, so whatever.
So what I've been doing is because with training with T4 and everything I'm doing here, I've gone a little over the board with marking my gear. So all my magazines I've run through, just even for testing and practice. Something to consider, you marking your equipment so it doesn't get mixed up. Even my Ear Pro, I like them. They're great Peltors. I want them back eventually, so I've got my name on them. Instead of scratching them in and damaging it, like my cuffs. There's a pair of my cuffs for work. One pair of cuffs looks like another, and if you have multiple people arrested and people are borrowing your extra cuffs, which ones are yours? Now, some people don't care, but I take care of my gear. I like my gear, and I want it back. And you over time with training, as firearms training, you acquire multiple magazines. And if you have a registered high capacity or standard capacity, which is considered high in some places, high capacity magazine, it gets mixed up and you lost track of it. That's not fun. You want your gear back. So I've been marking up stuff all left and right. What do you got? A pocket knife there? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and that blade was all black.
It's a little image graphic. It's just something small, nothing major. But if you wanted to dress up your pocket carry, little knife, you could do that.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much limitless. We could do plastics, acrylics, metals, brick. Believe it or not, we haven't tried brick, but the machine will actually do brick. So if you had need some special memorabilia you need to create, we could do that. So it's pretty much go a lot of avenues. So
do we miss anything tonight? I know we only had a few topics. I wanted to go into the footwear. I think that's important. If you're not able to do your bug out or you're able to stay on your feet, you're having a problem. And we talked about a little bit in the bug out bags. We talk a few more minutes about that, but we're getting towards the end there. With the bug out bag, you got a little bit of gear in your vehicle. Just stuff that think of the stuff that they tell you if you break down in the winter. Some food items, some water, something to be warm or comfortable in the environment you're in. Something to protect yourself, even if it's a rain poncho. Those dollar rain ponchos, when you have nothing else, those are great until you want to fold them back up. They're usually garbage. But, you can spend a couple extra dollars and get a halfway decent one that you don't necessarily dispose of when you're done. And it's one more thing you can have in that bag, and you don't need a lot.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with any of this stuff, the bug out bag for sure, just sit down and write a list. Think about it. Toss it around for a couple of weeks. Bounce it off your friends that do it, and just see what are you missing, what do you have they don't, and that just kind of help you just finalize a list and start from there. But it's always going to change.
Right, and something to think about with your bug out bag. Everybody, the military style packs or they look cool. There's tons of pockets. They've got the straps on them. And they look awesome, right? Except if it's a true, bug out situation. There's a lot of people trying to get out of an area, or there's, you can't get the food or something going on. Honestly, you look at somebody carrying one of those packs around, you may think they have supplies. So you may make yourself a target by having one of those militarized looking packs. You can get a lot of packs that have the capacity in the pockets. They're not obvious. They're not, they don't scream prepper or being prepared or that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with prepping. I think it's a great idea having some things in place, but it's something to think about. In the boots I like to wear, I scream law enforcement. Sometimes the stuff I wear is the way the way you hold yourself, but you don't want to keep adding to that necessarily. You guys, how do you guys think about that?
Yeah,
I agree 100%. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's kind of, for me, it's kind of like people that put stickers on their car windows. You become a target. It's like, oh, that guy's a Glock sticker. Oh, he probably carries a Glock. And I've seen posts online where people are losing their, people breaking in, stealing their guns. Well, why are you leaving it in your car that it's not in a safe? Why is it in your car in the first place? I mean, maybe you're going somewhere where you can't carry it. That's fine, but put it in a legit safe that's cable locked down.
Yeah, right.
But don't put the stickers on your car. Just take it out of the scenario.
Well, and it's so kind of the way I look at open carry. While doesn't mean because you can doesn't mean you always should, really. I
agree.
I look at open carry as I know what you have now, and if you're a bad guy, you may target that individual who is open carrying because they are definitely a threat to you if you're that bad guy. And
absolutely.
I mean, for better or worse, I'm 6'3", I'm 330 pounds, and they may look at me as a threat just because of my size. Doesn't mean I know how to fight. Doesn't mean I know how to do anything else. You're just big. And a lot of times the bigger we are, we fight. So, some guys don't, but a lot of guys are willing to go hands on. And if I'm that bad guy and I'm thinking this guy's gonna be a problem, I might be the first they're gonna go after or try to incapacitate. So it's something, if you can prevent that attention to you, why not?
Yeah, I agree.
So with
another thing to think about too is you don't have to spend a fortune on a go bag. I mean, you can go to places and get supplies even at Walmart. You can start adding small things and build up a go bag without getting crazy. So some people, I'd love to do it, but I don't got the money. But you can go on the cheap. I mean, a life straw is $20.
Yep.
You can buy ponchos. You can buy tarps.
You could buy those little cheap sleeping bags.
Well, it's funny. Years ago, Owen, or my youngest, he had in his head he had to have a go bag. And there's different. You got your go bag that you're gonna basically bug out with. You got you're responding to a threat or whatever. You got your bug out bag, or you're relocating. That's you got a lot of gear. You're getting the heck out of town, right? And then you even have your get home bag. It's in your car. It's those things we talked about. Maybe change something to keep for the weather. Your extra socks, maybe a different type of shoe, whatever. Your weapon or more ammo or something to help you facilitate that getting home. But he had to have a bug out bag. He had to have and I'm like, whatever. This is what the kid wants. I went to Walmart. I got him, like you just said. That's why I thought of it. I got him a whole bunch of stuff for a bug out bag, and there you go, kid. You got a bug out bag. And of course, as he's gotten older, he's like, things he asked for, he had to have in it. Why did I want this? Well, it made you feel better. That's what you wanted. That's what you got, right?
Yeah.
And
that's
nothing.
The way a lot of things go.
Use. What's that?
That's the way a lot of things go. In life.
You got to learn, experience, and like we keep saying, the first go bag you put together. You may be a month later after you've got a little more education or knowledge. You go through to do your check it through, maybe see if any the flashlight batteries are dead or you need more batteries. What do you need? You may look in that go bag and go, "What the heck am I doing? I don't need this. Why do I have that? And you change your thought process and your mission, over time."
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
And even if you start inexpensive, you can always replace gear as you have more money. So you buy an expensive compass and you move up.
Right.
You buy an insulated poncho or an insulated what do we call it? What am I thinking of? A blanket. as you're moving up. And even a lot of that stuff is not expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's easily accessible. I mean, you can get it anywhere. And you don't have to go to like one of these expensive camping stores for a good tent, or even like a hammock that you throw up in a tree, or whatever the case is. It doesn't have to be that brand name top of the line item, as long as it's good quality.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So, all right, I know I keep talking. Apparently, I've had too much coffee.
So what's new?
I know. So I'm famous for at camp 80 ounces of coffee a day as we were at the range. So I think on that note, if anybody has any comments or questions out there, just post them real quick. And if we don't get to them before by the time we sign off, we'll try to follow up on the next broadcast. I want to thank both of you guys for joining us tonight. Really, it's great that I could come up and share information about like foot care, but when I can bring in the expert, or somebody that I can't acquire the knowledge you have. It's just not even possible. So, and it's easier to ask somebody who knows than try to recreate the wheel, right?
Absolutely.
So
Happy to do it.
if you guys have any questions for Dr. Khan about any foot care or stuff to consideration for shoes or boots or whatever, just you can give us a holler and we can try and get that. Well, we will get that over to him and see what you can bring him back on, or whatever the case is. And then it was great. We got to talk to David, the holsters, and a little some of the fun stuff we're doing with the laser. And you need to finish my gun so I can have it back, please. I want to see it.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to return it. I think you like it now.
I'm gonna take it to the range first. I gotta break it in.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Anyhow.
Yeah, I think I just on like a side note, for anybody that does have any holster or gear questions, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to talk to you, whether it's mine or not. If you just have questions, you have consulting, you just whether what is this the right thing to take? I could just give you my knowledge and my expertise for what I do, and then you can kind of go from there. If it's something I can help you with, build you your own custom rig, more than happy to. If you need your feet worked on, you can head over to that guy.
Yeah.
He'd be more than happy to.
We use David also for, we do the firearm training. We'll do the training education and get you up to speed and get you comfortable. David does the NRA safety class. So when you're moving forward to get your permit and you want to, you want to take that class, he does privates, he does small group. He's very flexible.
I do. Yeah, absolutely. Do a lot of private sessions, one-on-ones, two-on-twos. So, whatever you need, just reach out. You could shoot me a text. You can reach my numbers right on my website. Message me on Facebook. But yeah, we could definitely hook up, get you guys started so you can go then attend the camp and have a great time getting the training down, because honestly, there's nothing more important than the training. It's great to have a permit. It's great to have firearms, but if you don't know how to use them when you have to, it really does you no good.
As much as it's good to have it, that NRA safety class is really just the beginning.
I mean,
it's
you have to have it.
Safety. You have to do it, but you should, as a gun owner, and something I learned very young, you can't stop there. You can't say, I'm going to shoot once a year. I'm going to shoot twice a year.
No,
that's just a static stationary target. You need a further education, or you don't have to get. It doesn't have to be over the top crazy. You're not looking to do like a water assault where you're swimming from the middle of a lake or something. That's not what we're looking to do. We're looking at everyday average people. What's that?
Not John Wick.
No, right. We're not there to make you John Wick, but we're making you feel comfortable and to the point where you feel confident. And the only way to do that is through some extra training and getting into these getting in camp, or we can work. We work one-on-one. We'll do small group. We'll do we'll help you get comfortable. And really, we all started at the same spot. Nobody walked up, picked up a firearm, and I don't care who they think they are or what they told you, and just said, I'm the best shooter ever. It's taken time to get proficient. It takes time to get comfortable. And not everybody's. And people are afraid to say, "Hey, listen, I'm terrible," But who's harassing you?
Addison. But also that first day when you get everybody up there, you're assessing everybody's skills.
Right.
So
we do that. We get everybody on the range and just we get a good firing line. We go over safety, and then we just do a couple of relays of fire to assess where everybody's at. And even the people that have been there many times or trained with us before, we just knock the rust off, because not everybody has the time as much as they want to. Things come up; they don't get to shoot as much as they want to. but this kind of gets them back to a level, a baseline, or where they know they are. And remember, when they work the fundamentals and everything else, they're back to where they were. It's not hard to get back up there, but it is a perishable skill.
Yeah, you need the fundamentals to start. That's for sure.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming on, because I don't know if I could have talked to myself for an hour and kept it.
You probably could have. You probably could have.
Well, I think I could have. It would have been the Mike Kahn show.
A little more coffee.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody knows what you're talking about. Towards the
I have a migraine, and it would be incoherent. It'd be babbling. So I want to, thank you guys for coming out tonight. It was I got a lot out of it. Just getting that conversation I had with you, Dad, earlier today about just the basics of the shoes. I never occurred to me to try fitting a shoe at the end of the day, because of the fluid retention and everything else. Your feet swell. And yeah, I know your feet swell, but I never thought that, hey, that's a better time to try on some shoes. So
that's true.
So again, thank you guys. You guys have a good night, and wish everybody out there a good night. This is Mike Kahn. I'm with David Kahn and Dr. Jeffrey Kahn. We'll be signing off here, and T4 Survival, training for survival. So training for survival, your home invasion, your active shooter, your highly violent events. You guys have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Hang on, guys.